Have you guys paid attention to this? I wasn't even aware this was trending. I wasn't aware this had turned into a big story. There's a lot of people debating because I guess the new Little Mermaid in the live action film is going to be black. And obviously the Little Mermaid in the original animated feature was a white person with red hair, Ariel. Everybody's obsessed with what Ariel looks like. Here's my take on this sudden controversy that has emerged. If it is a fictional character that is not rooted in a particular time or place, then I think anybody of any race can play a mermaid, right? So if Ariel is Hispanic, if Ariel is Asian, if Ariel is white or black, doesn't really matter. It's a fictional character that was originally animated film, Hans Christian Andersen, whatever. I think that mermaids, call me crazy, I think that mermaids can be any race, all right? Just have to be good looking and also have flippers or whatever it is. All right, so I don't understand why this is controversial. I feel the same way about James Bond. James Bond was black. Make it happen. I feel the same way about Captain America or anybody else. Find a good actor who can play the role. Race should be relatively inconsequential, in my opinion, in roles such as those. But I do think it's ridiculous when you have, personally, like I went and watched Hamilton, but I think the idea that you are going to have multi-race people play direct historical figures, like Alexander Hamilton was a white dude, all right? So for me personally, I think it takes you out of the movie or out of the play or out of the show when someone doesn't look historically like the person that they are playing. And it doesn't even have to be race-based, right? So let's pretend that you have, like, who's a really famous person? John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy is really famous. If I watch John F. Kennedy and the movie is being played and the person who is playing John F. Kennedy is super fat and has a deep Southern accent, I'm going to be like, this is not John F. Kennedy, right? Like, if the purpose of this is to be a historically reflective film, then the person who is playing JFK should look something like JFK, all right? If you got a fat Southern accented dude playing JFK, then I'm going to be like, hey, this takes me out of the story. I can't really enjoy it as much. So if there's a historical setting where you know what the history of that setting would be, then it takes me out of the movie. Like, I'll give you an example. If I watched a Civil War movie and some of the characters who were playing Southern generals were actually Asian, Hispanic, and black, I would be like, hey, I'm not really following Robert E. Lee being played by an Asian woman. The Battle of Gettysburg is different to me if there's an Asian woman who is playing General Robert E. Lee. Now, if it's being done to be funny or be satirical, that's different. But if you're trying to give me a historically relevant document, a film that is supposed to show me something about the Battle of Gettysburg, then I think Robert E. Lee should be an old dude with a white beard. That old white guy with a white beard, because that's what Robert E. Lee looked like, right? I think that Abraham Lincoln should be an old dude with a beard, right? If you gave me the clean-faced Abraham Lincoln and he was super fat, I'd be like, man, it's hard for me to see this as being Abraham Lincoln, all right? That's my thought on this. Fantastical characters, whatever. Don't really have a strong opinion on it. Find whoever the best actor or actress can be. But I will say this whole controversy over, like, only trans actors can play actors, only gay actors can play gay roles. Like, the whole point of acting is to pretend to be someone that you are not. And so this Hollywood woke charade that has lost its mind, like, if it takes me out of not being able to enjoy a film, like I understand Brendan Fraser is under siege right now because he's not actually fat and he wore a fat suit. And people are like, well, this is offensive because they didn't even have a fat guy play a fat guy. Well, why? Like, that's the purpose of the role, right? Side note, and I need to get my buddies from college to write this. People think, oh, Clay, you give all sorts of crazy opinions. One of my longest running opinions, which may end up actually becoming to fruition here, when I was in college, I said that one day Brendan Fraser was going to win an Oscar. And that's George of the Jungle, Brendan Fraser. And everyone lost their minds. I need to pull up Brendan Fraser's overall IMDb page here. But everybody lost their mind when I said, hey, Brendan Fraser is going to win an Oscar one day. This was back when he was doing George of the Jungle, Encino Man, Airheads, Dudley Do-Right. I think he was really good in one movie that I was basing it on. And I'm going to pull it up. I feel like it was, and I remember thinking, like, this dude has got some decent talent. This is before The Mummy. This is back in the day. School Ties, I think, may have been what I was basing my my Brendan Fraser could win an Oscar one day based on this. And it ended up being, like, super controversial. Everybody was fired up in college that I would make this argument. And then what happens? Brendan Fraser may end up winning an Oscar, even though he's not a fat guy.